us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general, and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Good morning, distinguished colleagues. Can we peruse the folds and proceedings of Tuesday, 29th of October, 2019? Page 29. Page 30. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. 36. I've looked at the folds and proceedings of Tuesday, 29th October 2019, and approval is hereby given. Message from the Governor.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, there is no message from the government.
Other announcements.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to announce the presence of 50 students of Ajayi Downsy Memorial Baptist Schools located at 5557 Akonro Street, Ilasama, Jamoshi, Lagos, led by Mrs. F. Idowu, School Administrator, Mrs. Patricia Ajayi, and Mr. Akinladi Olawale at the gallery to observe the House proceedings. Let me also state that the 9-man adult committee on 40 years anniversary of the Lagos State House of Assembly will be having a meeting at the chairman's office immediately after the plenary session. Signed, Honorable Eshindo Kunsoni W. Chairman, 9-man adult committee on 40 years anniversary. That's all, sir.
Petitions.
None, sir.
Matters of urgent public importance. None. Personal explanations. Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to use this opportunity to show appreciation to the Speaker, Right Honorable Ashir Obasa, other members of the House, and members of staff of this House who attended the LSHA Carnival in Ikorodu on Saturday, the second day of November. Those who are unavoidably absent but have given their excuses are also appreciated for their love. That is my appreciation to the whole entire House.
Majority Leader, Any other announcement? Reports. I acknowledge the presence of 50 students of Ajayi Downsy Memorial Baptist School located at 5557 Akonro Street, Lasa Maja, Mushin, Lagos, led by Mrs. F. Idowu, School Administrator, Mrs. Patricia Ajayi, and Mr. Akinlade Olawale at the gallery to observe the House proceedings. You are most welcome. Business of the day, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, what we have on the other paper is motion, House of Assembly motion number 06, which is coming up for the second allotted day, supported by Honorable Jima OWU, Honorable Sonny GBO, Honorable Yusuf AA, Honorable Majid FA, Honorable Solaja Saka, Honorable Uluma. It should be recalled that this motion once came before the House of Assembly but was stepped down based on arguments and new position canvassed which needed to be incorporated into the motion. Mr. Speaker, the said ideas and opinions and positions have been inbuilt into the motion as presently contained in the other paper. With the kind permission of Mr. Speaker, I wish to present the motion. Need to protect local marketers and entrepreneurs in the state for the second allotted day. This House notes that Lagos is the economic and commercial nerve center of Nigeria. Notes further that the economic and commercial activities in the state involve both the citizens of Nigeria and nationals of other countries. Observes that there are current commercial practices in our markets that threaten successful trading and entrepreneurship, which is capable of forcing local traders out of business. Is worried that some firms and individuals that are involved in wholesale business are now setting up retail outlets in same markets where the retailers are supposed to sell to their customers. Is worried further that some indigenous market men and women acting as middlemen and women are fast developing strategies that prevent local marketers from having access to farm produce and other commodities at reasonable prices and collaborating with foreign nationals to monopolize goods that farm produce that are ordinarily the preoccupation of native marketers, entrepreneurs, and is concerned that unless these economic threats, local trading and entrepreneurship is quickly checked, most indigenous marketers and entrepreneurs in local business may soon pack up with their consequences on the economic and security of the state. Therefore resolves to call on the Excellency Mr. Batunde Olushola Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State, to direct the Commissioner, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Cooperatives to take critical look into the unhealthy economic strategies, practices, and come up with approaches that are capable of restoring the hope of local business men and women in their daily activities in Lagos State, and enforce the provisions of Lagos State Market Advisory Council Law, Cap L45 Laws of Lagos State 2015. Finally, the Lagos State House of Assembly to commence a review of the Lagos State Market Advisory Council Law, Cap L45 Laws of Lagos State 2015 with a view to updating and bringing it in conformity with recent practices and economic realities in our market. I so move.
Seconder. Honorable Laiwala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the motion as moved by the majority. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Rotimi Oluwo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, like the prime mover rightly mentioned that the motion was set down at the time for reason that is best known to speak at them. And the motion is modified this afternoon, and I reason with him. Apart from calling the governor, we should be able to mention the reasons why we must not allow all these foreign nationals to take from our people their means of livelihood. Mr. Speaker, apart from the fact that Lagos is highly industrialized, when it comes to commerce, Lagos is number one in the whole of the state. And we know that our mothers and our fathers, they engaged as middlemen between the producer and the end users. And when you look at the distribution chain, obviously, it starts from the producer to the wholesaler, from the wholesaler to the retailer, and from the retailer to the end users, which are the consumers. But in a situation where, because they have the wherewithal, they want to shortchange the middlemen by moving product from the producers to the consumers, cutting off the wholesalers and the retailers. These are unethical, and I think is not in tandem with the provision of the Constitution, because the Constitution stated that for economic reasons, where we don't have the expertise, is when such nationals are allowed to operate within our economic environment. And I know when you are talking about selling and buying, whether it's farm produce, whether it's textile product, obviously our people have expertise on that. And I don't know why people will come in, have their factory, and at the same time selling directly to the people. Mr. Speaker, like I was saying last week, if you go to Oshodi, many of our mothers and fathers have been driven out because other foreign nationals are coming out. They pay for 5 years, 6 years, and they are bringing the product directly to their factory. Then what becomes the fate of our people? And against the backdrop of the fact again that the revenue accrued to the state is on the low trend, and we are all agitating for more revenue, because what is accrued to all the state from predation is a matter of time, Mr. Speaker, that the oil has a lot of competition. It cannot even start any longer, because there are other better products than the crude oil we are talking about. That means every state must look inward to generate revenue. And if you want to generate revenue, obviously, you only need to tax prosperity and not poverty. But if our mothers, our fathers are sent out of work, they have nothing doing, then how do you tax them? And a lot of Lagosians today are into trading. Mr. Speaker, we have every reason to call the governor and probably put in motion the machinery to fish out all these foreign nationals taking over our jobs, the jobs of our mothers and fathers, and see how they can be called to order. I reason with him, but I want to put it that we should put the word quickly, urgently. The governor must intervene, and the commissioner for commerce and industry and cooperatives must do the needful at ensuring that the lives, the business of our mothers, our fathers are protected from the foreign owners. That's why finally, sir, all this money, profits accrued to these foreign owners, they will go back to their countries. They will repatriate them. It's only money accrued to Nigerians that be in Nigeria that be taxed for the further development of Nigeria. Hence, I concur with the majority that the government should do something quickly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Richard Kasumu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Interestingly, I made a position the last time that we sat on this issue, and I'm glad it's been incorporated in here. But there's a leg that I feel is still missing in this whole input. We must, however, as I have mentioned before, the need to constitute or to have a stakeholders meeting, to have the Ministry of Commerce and Industry have a stakeholders meeting with this market association, men and women, with a view to understanding perfectly what the challenges are. Why am I saying this? I am saying this because this motion, however, has been brought forward to the House, is a motion from a perspective or a collection of perspectives. But if we say that we are fighting for the rights of our indigenous market women and men, then we should not be seen as acting without their own sort of input. And as the motion states, we are definitely fighting for them, developing various strategies to prevent our local market. Looking into that, however, we should also look at the perspective of the law. What the law says about the establishment or the creation or the revamping or the bringing to life of whatever existing law. According to the law, it has a Lagos State Market Advisory Council. But if you recall, sometime in 2009, when the ex-Governor Babajide Raji-Fashola set up the board, it was set up as a Lagos State Development Market Board. So in order not to be conflicting with the position of law, it is, however, necessary to do the needful in terms of collaborating with this market association, who have most of these members of the various indigenous markets and are directly affected with what we are trying to posit at this point. So I would just implore the House that while definitely standing by the motion as a perfect resolution of the House of Assembly, it should be included that as stakeholders, they must be carried along to make sure that we have a clear picture of where we are going and we satisfy the needs. Thank you.
Observation, sir.
Observation.
Thank you, sir. I'm trying to observe, Honorable Kasum, that the first leg of the resolution has captured that. It's part of the strategies the executive will put in place to view to restoring the hope of the people. So it's not our job to tell them what to do. But in the first prayers sought by Honorable Aguliari, it has taken care of that. And when we are talking about even modifying or amending the law, the bill that set up the development market, it's our own duty. It's not for us to put it there. If it gives to the necessary to amend such law, it is the necessary committee of the House that will take that up. It's not for us to tell them that, because it is within the purview of this House to do the law. If the law currently is far from our expectation, then the necessary committee will take that into action. Thank you. That's my observation.
Observation well taken. Honorable Kasumu, could you please go ahead and round up?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to believe that we're more or less saying the same thing. But the only difference is that I said a stakeholders meeting should be. However, haven't taken into consideration what they have said. I rise to also affirm that a critical look should be taken into the law, so that we can have a good background to fall back on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to seek your indulgence to make some adumbration to the motion so that we may be saved some time. Mr. Speaker, when this motion first came up, there were suggestions, and I want to show appreciation to all those who contributed one way or the other, even those who rose to show some opposition to the bill as to the motion as considered them. Because the opposition has made me to look inward into the content of the bill, leading to the provisions of Lagos State Market Advisory Council. And that's why we have recommended here that in the second prayer, Mr. Speaker, that such second prayer that to enforce the provisions of Lagos State Market Advisory Council. Mr. Speaker, this law provides that there must be a council that will be advisory to the governor on activities and development in our market. It will comprise of a president, a chairman, and each of the market leaders in all the SCDA and local government. That means that we will have about 57 head of market and also 5 market men and women in the divisions of the state. So with all these people coming together, they will be the council will be abreast of development in each market, and of course some of these things we are talking about will be easily discussed and solutions come up. We have practically said that an industry of peace, we see ourselves as just taking the development. It goes beyond the issue of local or foreigners. All developments that are currently inimical to successful trading in our market. The other time we spoke, a lot of issues were thrown up, and we discovered that the issues have been more ventilated. So the ministry and the chairman of committee on commerce and industry is in the house listening. Of course, it will now be part of the job of such to liaise with the ministry so that they could come up with strategies that will address these issues as quickly as possible. So, Mr. Speaker, I am saying that with this second leg of the prayers, that the Lagos State Market Advisory Council be put into place will definitely assist in ameliorating the sufferings of our people in the market and looking into this, because the law also provides that aside from the council, committees of advisory committee in each of the local government and LCDs will also be set up. When and all these are set up, it is believed that they will be on top of all these challenges, and we may be saying bye-bye to all these problems that are rearing their heads in our market and threatening commerce and enterprises in our market. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Your suggestion was taken. However, it may not be a perfect substitute to distinguished members ventilating their views. You also have the opportunity at the end to respond and do all the necessary amendments. Honorable Braimo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just at the risk of sounding very insatiable about this motion, I observe the efforts of the proponents of the motion to amend it and tailor it along the line of our opinions that we ventilated at the last adjourned date, whereby we gave the motion a critical look intended to make it more robust. I congratulate the movers of the motion for taking into consideration many of our objective views of the motion. However, Mr. Speaker, I am confused at the ambivalence and the vacillation of the emotion. Ambivalence in the sense that in one breath, the motion is saying that the governor be called upon to direct the commissioner for commerce and industry to implement the tenets of a law that we made in the house. At the same time, in another breath, we are saying that we should revise the law. Are we asking them to revise the law that we know is inadequate? I think we should do our own work first, do what we have to do now before we pass it on to them to implement. If we notice inadequacies in our law, why don't we do what we are supposed to do first and now pass it on for implementation? Asking them to implement it in one breath and saying, declaring and acknowledging that the law is defective or deficient in another breath is a bit, I don't know, but then, sir, that's for the chair to decide. But then, with due respect, I want to say, sir, that at the last adjourned date, Honorable Ishao, in his pedagogic manner, and also my iconoclastic brother, Honorable Lowo, today, said that there are laws, there are extant laws. Honorable Lowo even referred to the Constitution, though I'm not very familiar with the very particular section he's talking about, but I want to believe that having said it, he must mean it. And Honorable Ishao said that there is a law, and the expatriate quota or the business permits given to these foreigners restricts them from doing retail trading, that he is aware that there is restriction on retail trading for these people. Why don't we just ask for the implementation of the law? If the law is there already, if there are provisions, resisting them or restricting them from doing certain type of activities in Nigeria, it is just call for an implementation of those restrictions so that they don't overstep their statutory boundaries. And finally, sir, I want to say that much as the motion is very, because we are within the devil and the deep blue sea, as they say, we need to protect our people. At the same time, we need to be cautious, not to send the wrong signal to the international community. So I want us to look at the motion critically, make it go, but then be cautious and conscious of our wordings. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Brimo. Honorable Desmond Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me align myself totally with what Honorable Brimo has said. In order not to scare our expatriates, Mr. Speaker, I want to advise that, as he has said as well, we have to start with the House. The amendment of this law has to start with the House first before we pass on to executive to now execute. Also, I would like us as well, if expatriates want to do retail or whatever it is, they should have their towns, like we have in other clients. They should have their towns, which which is backed by law. So they should have their, I don't want to call the names of countries, but we know many countries across the world where they are. We have Nigerian towns. In some countries outside our own country, they should have their towns where they can do their retailing, wholesaling, or whatever it is, without affecting our own local market here. That's just my little contribution, sir.
Thank you. Honorable, is that Honorable Akonde or Honorable Akonde? The chief whip. Thank you, Honorable Akonde.
But thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker, fellow members. In also contributing to this motion, I firstly appreciate the intendiment or the intentions of the mover of this motion. I also strongly believe that our locals should be protected and not be run out of business. But I feel that it is good we situate the issues very correctly and then put the and also be clear on what the facts are. In Nigeria, I don't think there is any law that prohibits a manufacturer from doing retail business. I don't think so. You know, it all depends on your marketing strategy. You could be a manufacturer and sell directly to the customers. It all depends on what you choose. Of course, different people play at different stages of the value chain. So, and as it is put in the body of the motion here, there is a paragraph that said that some firms and individuals that are involved in wholesale businesses are now setting up retail outlets. I think we need to set the record straight. And of course, if there is any law that prohibits that, I would actually want that section cited. Aside of this, the challenge here again, we spoke about middlemen and women. Yes, middlemen and women need not be foreign nationals. And also in the body of the motion, it is said there that sometimes they connive. Now, this is a general thing, you know, because activities in the market, in my opinion, is premised on it's premised on demand and supply. There are some businesses, as we speak, that are buyers' market. They dictate the pace. And of course, there are businesses with cartel. There are businesses with monopoly in Nigeria that cannot do anything about. I mean, we know the richest man in Africa. We know the kind of business that he does, and nobody can actually contest this. Now, like said, we should not send out wrong signals, you know, because, for instance, in the Nigerian economy today, we are craving for the attraction of foreign direct investments. And when such investments come, money will not just come. The nationals that are giving this money will also follow their money to the country. Now, why would we, on one hand, be asking for foreign direct investment when we want to put limitation to trade and commerce done by some of these people that are providing these funds? There is need for care, there is need for caution. And if there is anything I would actually want to add to the resolve, is probably to also call on the Lagos Chambers of Commerce and Industry, you know, to put out policies that will protect the locals from extinction from our various markets. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, the Chief Whip. I thought Honorable Luma was. Is that Honorable Tobun or Honorable Mark Kende? That light? Oh, great. Honorable Luma first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to go in line with the motion. For me, it is well intended. And nobody, even in the developing and developed world, we allow their businesses for the locals to be wiped out. You can call it an act of nationalism or whatever. We have so many laws here in Lagos State that can protect our locals. All I will agitate for is for these laws to be enforced. The Lagos State Market Board law is there. Honorable Victor has just mentioned some section of even the Lagos State Market Association law. All this one has very good intention in protecting the locals. We are not talking about foreigners coming into the country to sell ewedu, to sell tomato, which we can see them do. By the time they take this brief off our locals, what would they be doing? So the intention of the motion is very, very clear. We are not looking at the sophisticated parts of the value chain. We are not looking at the manufacturing sector. We are not looking at wholesale sector. What we are saying is the intention is to protect our mothers, our sisters, which the state government is even providing fund for through the trust fund to be able to get them established in doing proper businesses to feed their wards. So my own thinking and my call is for us to enforce our laws. We have so many laws that can protect the locals. I just pray that this motion can sail through and get the intention of the motion perfected so that Lagosian can benefit. I stand to support the motion in totality. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Tobo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, I equally stand in support of the motion because I believe protecting our businesses and our local traders will be paramount in our mind. Knowing fully that the local traders to gain customers and to retain that customer is an absolute task. So where we allow wholesalers to bombard their markets, they will, by commission, hijack their customers and run them out of business. Even locally here, if you are doing any business, you are in contention with the other guys from the eastern part of the country, they will run you out. They know how to do that. Not to talk of the situation where we allow foreign clients to dominate our business. My dear brother mentioned foreign direct investment. We want them to come and invest. Business, establish business, not to come and involve in petty trading. After all, some of our children that go abroad, there are discriminations. They pay heavily for their school fees, while their foreign nationals are protected. So I strongly believe that if these petty traders were shipped out of markets, revenue they were supposed to accrue to the coffers of the government will not come. Because surely the businessmen, the wholesaler, they pay at once. Why the petty traders pay as they go, And if many petty traders were run off the business, one single wholesaler will pay at once. I want a situation where our people will be protected. Take, for example, Ghana. Ghana is implementing what they call a protectionist municipal business law, where petty trading were majorly reserved for their nationals. Any other nationals that come across those that are doing such petty trading, their shops were locked. If they want to involve in this petty trading, and you can never compare it, all those merchandise, those they call them mechanized farmers or big-time businessmen that can afford to buy a large quantum and sell at infinitesimal profit margin just to ensure that petty traders were run off the business. It is our duty to ensure that these people we protect them. You can call it sentiment, whichever way you call it. Some of us were trained by profit from petty trading. Do we now keep our eyes crossed or keep our eyes closed, our finger crossed? Why these business petty traders were destroyed? I want to appeal to us that we should look for ways to protect them. It could be frustrating. When you buy from an wholesaler, you were to have just like 10 naira profit margin, and these wholesalers are coming to sell at 2 naira profit margin. Nobody will patronize you. And by commission or omission, you have to pay for rent, pay for other sundry expenses, you will be forced to close your shop. And if by the end of the day they do that, they will end up bringing the price back up because they have succeeded in monopolizing petty trading rather than monopolizing what we can refer to as their business. So, my dear brother, whichever way, either we put it, the second leg that said the House will commence a process to review the law is a clarion call reminding us. I don't see anything bad in that. We were called upon by one of our colleagues that we should review that law. So if you pass a motion that should be reviewed, it's just a matter of committing it to the committee involved so that we look into it and ensure that either way we do it, my own opinion and my own belief is our petty traders should be protected with all possible means. Call it sentiment, call it any way, they should be protected. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Good afternoon, my colleagues. Actually, I don't want to come up again, but because I was one of those people that actually went against this motion last week. But I've seen some amendments, and I think the case is very simple. Since the movers of the motion, they were actually calling for a sort of policy review by the executive. I think we should limit it at that. And let us see what they will do with it. We cannot here come up with a resolution to give them assignment and at the same time telling them how to do it. We should allow them to come up with a strategy they want to use. He has called for that. I want to really, against the second B part of the motion, where we were talking about the House should review the law. I think that should be something we should actually drop. If there is need for that, we should look at that internally, like Honorable rightly observed. But the A1 and 2 should stand, and they should go ahead. And let's see, after all, the executives come up with regulations of various types. And if there is need be for them to come for the House for the approval of their regulation or policies, they will surely do. And we will all be going in tandem with them. If it is necessary, we can amend it. So I think we should just limit it at that and allow them to do the assignment. If we agree on that, a resolution should be passed and be sent to them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Saka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my colleague. Good afternoon. Well, I've said it last week precisely that according to the American Association of Commerce, in 1960 defined the 4 channels of distribution, and each distributions affect each farm product. And if peradventure a manufacturer produces a goods and services and sell it to final consumer, it has eliminated 2 channels of distribution. That is from wholesalers to retailer to the final consumer. What test do you want the 2 middlemen to do? You are giving the signal for unemployment and you are not protect infant industries. Agree that you produce particular items within our countries. We should allow Nigerians too to partake in your product by selling this product to a final consumer. The same thing applicable to go to America, go to any advanced country. We also export gasoline and oil. Are we the ones that are selling it there? We are not. Then why can't you allow us to sell the product to our people so that we can make 1 naira, 2 naira from business? And if you cumulate the numbers of the wholesalers and retailers that are paying tax with just a factory or a company that's paying tax, what is the difference? We are losing a lot of tax if we allow such to go ahead. Believe honestly, I support this motion. That's my submission.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm in support of the motion, and the reason is this: we should allow the motion to go, because if you look at it, doing this, we are helping we are not helping anybody, but we are helping ourselves. Our mother, somebody said it, we've been trained with this money. We should not allow all these women to go. If we go to do a market where I come from, in my constituency, if we go there now, the place is very dry. These women, they don't have money again to do their business. So, Mr. Speaker, please, I will appeal to you. And maybe if you want to amend the other law in the other law, they should just talk to our mothers. Well, these people, they should not, maybe in the law, they should not collect money, take money from the national head. They give them money. Some of them, they give them money for shop. They rent shop for them. Some people don't used to give out their shop. So they give them money. If they give them money, they will rent shop. They should not do that as well. Maybe that, I don't know, maybe how we can do that in the law. Please, Mr. Speaker, I'm in support of the motion, sir. Thank you.
Lastly, Honorable Agus Lemon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Actually, I wouldn't have spoken because Agege 2 spoke nearly all what I wanted to say. We should concur with what the motion is all about, especially the second leg. But at the same time, I just think I should just chip in this. We should not forget the fact that Lagos State is a sector. Lagos State is a structure within Nigeria system. And apart from that, Nigeria as a system within, Nigeria as a structure within the international system has its own foreign policy. And in foreign policy, we know that come what may, it is all about your relationship with other nations. Call it commercial relationship, or financial relationship, or marketing relationship. We know that there is nowhere in the world that this policy of protectionism is not in place. So in that case, Lagos should not be in isolation. It has to reflect in what we do in our commercial activity. For instance, sometimes you just see all these, foreigners knocking at doors. I have experienced it. What did I see? They came out with all these their Chinese pots, Chinese this, that they want to sell. I was surprised. I have to ask him, I said, come, why do you have to come to my door where you don't know? You knock my door, you knock at my door. That is how desperate they are. They are ready to collect the smallest amount available in our hand. Why? Because they have the money. They must have sold their product, in higher price. They must have made their gains. So now, they want to make sure they empty what they have brought, they now bring down the price. It becomes so difficult for the retailers or the final consumers to key into this. So issues like this, I think, supposed to be tailored in our motion to the body we are talking about. So that they should look at it, they should look into it critically. It goes beyond what we are saying here, because they are ready to make us impoverish. And I can remember Adam Smith said, a country's wealth is not the measurement to its development, but the standard of living of individual. And in this case, we are talking about the standard of living of individual. The market women, the market men, everybody, they are finding it very difficult because of this unnecessary competition, which are not called for. So please, I believe when all hands are on deck, when we reason it well, we will know that there is need for us to protect our indigenous market men and women. In addition, mercantilism or merchandise, it is all about our ability to have our gold in our hand in order to develop our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished honorable members. I've listened to your contributions and I've been so informed let me say that the positions that you can pass is not as diametrically opposed as one would have thought. The major conundrum is the fact that some people thought that it should not be, the motion should not be stereotype affecting certain foreign nationals. That I also acknowledge and also concede that a market must be competitive, there must be free entry and free exit. However, the issue that the proponents of this motion want to put forth, regardless of the elegance of the motion, is the fact that they do not think certain individuals who are wholesalers who sell to retailers should also do same to the final consumers, because they have wherewithal to sell to retailers and they can sell for price lower than those retailers could afford, because when they think of how to cover their cost, and I think that is the kernel of the motion, that certain retailers should be protected, and those who are mentioning SSI, yes, fine. SSI is more on for the organized private sector. Mostly the motion is talking about the unorganized private sectors that we have in Lagos Island, Mushin, Agege, and Co. And like most of you have mentioned there, you've voiced out your support for the motion, and I think that the fear of Honorable Burama had been allayed that it is not going to be specifically targeted at certain individuals. It is generic in form that those who are engaging in retailers or manufacturing, selling to it, the middlemen should not engage in unwholesome, unethical practices by trying to muzzle out the retailers, so to speak. So, the majority leader, your prayers, please.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, while thanking all members for their opinion in respect of this motion, I wish to restate the prayers as follows. That the House calls His Excellency Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State, to direct the Commissioner Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Cooperative to take critical look into the unhealthy economic strategies, practices, and come up with approaches that are capable of restoring the hope of local businessmen and women in their daily activities in Lagos State. And two, enforce the provisions of Lagos State Market Advisory Council Law, Cap L 45, Laws of Lagos State 2015. And lastly, believing that a law remains a law until amended, that the Lagos State laws, that the House of Assembly commence a review of Lagos State Market Advisory Council Law, Cap L 45, Laws of Lagos State, with a view to upgrading and bringing it in conformity with recent practices and economic realities in our markets. This is to strengthen, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Thank you, the Majority Leader, Honorable Rotimi Oluwo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I strongly support the motion as moved.
All those who are in support say aye. Those who are opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, we have come to the end of the matters listed on the other paper, and as such, we have come to the end of today's session. Sequel to that, I have the approval of the Speaker. House adjourns till Tuesday, November. Look, I so move.
Honorable Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
Those in favor say aye. Those who are opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The Speaker directed that there will be a parliamentary meeting immediately after the plenary. The House adjourns till Tuesday, November 4th of November, 2019. 20? What? Tuesday, 5th of November, 2019. Thank you. All right.